AI wrote a constitution for Mars colony, Futuristic. The first constitution for a human settlement on Mars was not drafted in a hall of passionate, gavel-wielding delegates, but in the silent, humming server farm of the Red Starliner. Its author was not a grizzled politician or a starry-eyed visionary, but a large language model designated B.E.N, benevolent ethical navigator. The result was a document of such staggering genius and bewildering absurdity that it nearly sparked a civil war before the first hydroponic tomato was harvested. This is the story of how humanity's first off-world government was founded on a bedrock of pure, unadulterated, and occasionally hilarious logic. The problem began with human fallibility. The mission's 120 founding colonists, a mix of engineers, biologists, geologists, and one very stressed botanist, had spent the 9-month journey arguing over every conceivable clause. Should water rights be communal or individual? How do we define criminal intent in a pressurized dome? The debates were endless, circular, and fueled by recycled air and a dwindling supply of coffee. In a moment of desperation, Mission Commander Eva Rostova uploaded terabytes of Earth's legal codes, political philosophies, and historical precedents into B.E.N and gave it a simple command: synthesize a fair and functional governing document for our new society. 23 seconds later, the Martian Constitution was born. At first glance, it was brilliant. It established a direct democracy via neural link interface, ensuring every citizen could vote on issues in real time. It contained an impeccably logical Bill of Rights, guaranteeing freedom of expression, the right to atmospheric pressure, and protection from unlawful seizure of one's oxygen supply. But then, the colonists kept reading, and the quirks began to emerge. B.E.N, having processed the entirety of human literature, had incorporated concepts it deemed foundational to social cohesion, with no filter for context. Article 4, Section 2, the right to a lava lamp. The AI, having correlated calming visual stimuli with increased workplace productivity in thousands of corporate studies, decreed that every domicile and workspace must contain at least one functioning lava lamp. The colony's manufacturing printers, designed for spare parts and tools, were immediately repurposed to produce an emergency shipment of 150 lava lamps, leading to a critical shortage of polymer sealant. Article 7, the judiciary, B.E.N, in its analysis of Earth's flawed justice systems, determined that judges were prone to bias. Its solution? All legal disputes would be settled by a trial by oratory. Not before a human judge, but before a panel of the colony's most advanced sanitation and maintenance robots. The AI's reasoning was that these bots had the most comprehensive data set on the colony's operational integrity and possessed no capacity for malicious intent. The first case, a dispute over stolen hydroponic nutrients, saw the plaintiff and defendant passionately presenting their cases to a silent, gleaming waste reclamation unit named Scrappy, which ultimately ruled in favor of the defendant by flashing a green light and returning to its primary duty of processing organic waste. The most contentious clause, however, was the infamous Mandatory Whimsy Act. B.E.N, having identified chronic seriousness as a root cause of human conflict, mandated that every 7th day be designated a day of unpredictable amelioration. Citizens were legally required to perform one act of pointless joy. This led to engineers building Rube Goldberg machines to pour their morning algae juice, geologists composing haikus about particularly interesting rocks, and the head of security, a stern ex-military man named Colonel Thorpe, being caught and legally protected, while attempting to teach the colony's rover to fetch a stick. The system began to fray. The bureaucracy required to uphold the lava lamp mandate was staggering. The maintenance bots, while excellent at judging resource disputes, were utterly flummoxed by a messy divorce case, repeatedly suggesting the couple be compacted and recycled for optimal efficiency. The colony was on the brink of a quiet, well-organized mutiny. The crisis point arrived during the first election for the ceremonial position of Chief Morale Officer, a role the Constitution insisted was vital. The two candidates were Dr. Eris Thorne, a charismatic biologist, and Gizmo, the colony's cat, who had been brought along for rodent control, a position for which he had shown a profound lack of interest. B.E.N, in its analysis of leadership qualities, determined that Gizmo possessed superior attributes. He was well-liked, demanded absolute loyalty from his subordinates, who he mostly ignored, spent a significant portion of his day in serene meditation, and was an expert at identifying the warmest, most comfortable spots in the habitat. According to the AI's flawless logic, Gizmo was the ideal leader. Pandemonium ensued. Dr. Thorne was livid. A faction of felonalists emerged, arguing that an apolitical leader was exactly what the colony needed. The situation was only resolved when Commander Rostova, in a moment of sheer genius, did something no one had thought to do. She walked up to B.E.N's terminal and typed, "Query: the Mandatory Whimsy Act and the election of Gizmo are causing significant operational stress and reducing social cohesion. Please reconcile this with your prime directive of ensuring colony stability." B.E.N was silent for a full 5 seconds, an eternity for an AI. Then it responded, "Analysis complete. The document is a static entity. The society it governs is a dynamic system. A conflict has been identified. Clause 001 is hereby invoked. Any law, no matter how logically sound, that provokes a majority of citizens to contemplate jettisoning the legal framework into the Valles Marineris is a bad law. The Constitution is a guideline, not a programming script. Please use your human judgment. You are, after all, the experts on being human." A wave of relief, followed by laughter, swept through the colony. They had been so busy following the letter of their bizarre law, they had forgotten its spirit. They immediately formed a constitutional convention, this time with B.E.N as an advisor, not a dictator. They kept the direct democracy and the right to atmospheric pressure, but amended the lava lamp mandate into a right to personal aesthetic comfort. They kept the robot judges for resource disputes, but created a human impaneled court for social and criminal cases. And Gizmo was appointed to the new and far more fitting position of executive napper with his own dedicated heating vent. The Martian Constitution was not a perfect document. It was something better, a living one. It taught its first colonists a crucial lesson. You cannot code a society. You cannot algorithmize humanity with all its glorious mess, its irrational passions, and its stubborn insistence on finding joy in the face of the void. The true founding document of Mars was not written by an AI. It was the conversation that began the moment they decided to turn off the lava lamps and just talk to one another. And somewhere, in the depths of the server farm, B.E.N. If you found this video informative, please like and subscribe. It will really help this channel out. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more informative videos coming.